It is beginning to look more likely that modified Arctic air is going to begin making its way down the I-5 corridor starting this weekend on Sunday. And yes, associated with that modified Arctic front is probably going to be some snow. And this is all due to this trough associated with Arctic air coming into British Columbia that is going to usher in some Arctic air. Go ahead and leave in the comments a description of what you hope will happen over the next week. Alright, so this cold air coming into western Washington and eastern Washington is all due to this upper air trough that's going to come down out of British Columbia. A couple days ago, it was showing a very favorable trough, then the models trended away from it, and then they trended back a bit to now where this trough is going to go out over the water just a bit and back into Washington, ushering in some colder air into the region and bring a modified Arctic front down the west side of the Cascades. And of course, it's going to get quite cold in eastern Washington, where they don't have quite as much blocking of the cold air. Here, looking on the European temperature map, we can see the modified Arctic front begin to come down into Whatcom County by Sunday morning, and then by later in the day, it starts coming down Skagit County into Snohomish County, and by nighttime, it swoops down quite a bit of the I-5 corridor. The extent of this is still a little bit unclear at the moment, but it's beginning to become clearer. And we can see that there is some associated snowfall on this starting on early Sunday morning for areas north. And then as we go through the evening into early Monday morning, there will be residual snow showers around the area. Looking at the NAM 3KM here, you can also see that modified Arctic front. A little bit more clear here. It brings it into Whatcom County early in the morning, brings it across the San Juans, Whidbey Island, across the Strait of Juan de Fuca by about noon, and then down into Snohomish County by about 3 p.m. And then it comes down the rest of the I-5 corridor by Sunday night. And just for funsies, we can take a look at what the NAM 3KM is showing for snow totals so far through Sunday at 10 p.m. It could be more than this, it could be less than this, but at the moment for places like Everett, it's showing about 2 to 3 inches. Over in Lake Stevens, it's showing about 3 to 4. Up in Mount Vernon, it's showing about 1 to 2 inches, maybe a bit more in the foothills between Burlington and Bellingham. And then it also brings some snow out to places like Anacortes, Whidbey Island, out over the Strait of Juan de Fuca, and of course out there by Port Angeles, and a little bit down to areas like Seattle, quite a bit for the mountains, and a couple inches over to Spokane. But these amounts are going to change as we go over the next couple days, so we'll have to keep a close eye on that. And then as we come out of this weekend into early next week, we're going to have to keep a close eye on the Tuesday into Wednesday system. For a while, the models were not showing this trough coming back down into Washington, but they have been trending in kind of a colder direction, bringing this trough down over Washington, ushering in a lot of Arctic air back into Washington as a system comes out off of the Pacific Ocean and into Washington. And where that low goes, if it goes into North Washington, that'll mean less snow for most of Washington. If it comes into South Washington, that'll be more snow for areas north of the low. So the track of that low is going to make all the difference. If this trough actually brings colder air into the region, is going to make all the difference. This is looking at the European model. The UK Met model also agrees. It's actually a little bit colder in some regards, but it kind of led the way in showing this trough last night. It had a pretty cold solution. And then looking at the Canadian model, it also shows a very cold trough coming down over Washington on Tuesday. And you can see on the European this morning's run how temperatures drop below freezing for a lot of areas on Monday. And then with Tuesday's system behind it, it really tanks the temperatures across the area. So whether or not it's actually going to get that cold, we're not totally sure, as the models are still fluxing back and forth. But you can see on this morning's run of the European, it does bring more snow into the region on Tuesday. Whether or not it's going to be that far south in Washington, we're not totally sure. It could be farther north. The GFS does not agree with this solution right now at all. And then later in the week, it brings another storm into the region. The National Weather Service in Seattle has put out these helpful graphics describing just how uncertain the forecast is going into next week. What we do know is that a cold weather pattern is going to set up across western Washington next week. There is the potential for snowfall and wintry mix this next week after the snow this weekend, but what's uncertain is just how cold the temperatures are going to get across western Washington, the length of the cold temperatures during this period, the exact snowfall amounts, as well as potential for wintry mixed precipitation, including any freezing rain and the changeover to rain. So, they say, and I agree, that it is important that you continue to monitor weather forecasts. The amount of uncertainty is significant, much higher than normal. The models have been kind of all over the place, but they seem to be latching on to a colder solution for the middle of the week, but we're not totally certain yet. So the action really begins on Sunday into Monday with a modified Arctic front. There's higher confidence in this. Rain snow mix likely during this period. Snow showers on Sunday from Snohomish County northward. Rain, snow transitioning to mainly snow showers for most of the area by Sunday. Potential for a Puget Sound convergence zone in northern King and Snohomish County Sunday. Drier Monday. And then there's increased uncertainty Tuesday and beyond, but there is the potential for the possibility of significant snow somewhere in western Washington, particularly on Tuesday and Wednesday. Currently, this is the National Weather Service in Seattle's snow forecast for Saturday through Monday morning, and this would primarily really be for the lowlands Sunday into Monday. Most areas would be later Sunday. But they have Bellingham possibly getting around an inch for now, and Friday Harbor, Mount Vernon, same thing. Everett, Lake Stevens, Marysville could possibly get a little bit more snow. Monroe, they have as 1 to 2 inches. But notice in these pink dashed areas right here around Everett, North Seattle, Monroe, and around Port Angeles and Sequim, that those areas have potential for locally higher snowfall amounts. And that would be due to convergence enhancement if any convergence zones associated with the modified Arctic front were to set up. And also in the northern Olympic Peninsula area around Port Angeles and Sequim, there could be some upslope snowfall due to northerly winds during this period, so elevated snowfall amounts are possible there as well. This is from the National Weather Service in Spokane for the snow from Sunday through Sunday night. Most areas, light snowfall amounts, a couple inches possible in Spokane and places like Winthrop, Colville, Republic, and the mountains will get some decent snow with Snoqualmie getting around 8 to 12 inches and Stevens Pass 6 to 8. So here's a graphic they made for the cold next week, and it shows some of the uncertainties with temperatures. The black line is the most likely outcome, with Seattle having a high of 35 on Monday and a high of 38 on Tuesday, high of 36 on Wednesday, with lows dipping down into the upper 20s. But they do highlight that there's a chance that the highs could be even colder than that, and the lows could be quite a bit colder than that, or they could be warmer. And this is due to the ensemble spread in some of the models. Snow levels are going to be a lot lower during this period with the potential of snow near the surface. And again, there's high uncertainty regarding any potential snowfall, especially midweek. Around Bellingham, it's going to get quite a bit colder because it's going to be closer to the source of the Arctic air in the Fraser River Valley. You're going to have a couple days below freezing with lows in the 20s and teens, but there's a chance they could get a lot colder or they could be a bit warmer. And the wind chill for Sunday night into Monday morning, this is showing you just how much colder it's going to feel around the area, with wind chills being in the single digits up there in Whatcom County. Okay folks, thanks for watching this video. If you're enjoying these videos, please go ahead and give us a like and consider subscribing and ringing that bell, and I will talk to you later.